I got a job as an office boy in 1923 for $7 a week.
Street smarts in the brokerage business is far better than a university education.
It was like a home away from home.
It was a great way to make money and have fun.
I'm gonna miss it.
The Toronto Stock Exchange was purely industrial market, and the Standard Exchange was mining stock. The old Standard floor, which was just one big floor with a bunch of buckets around because the skylight leaked like a sieve when it rained.
And yes, pigeons, oh my God, yes, pigeons. Maybe that was one of the reasons that, the floor was a little dirty too. The traders always had an extra pair of shoes just for wearing on the floor. They wanted to look smart. They'd have a little rose in their buttonniere, spats.
They put mining stocks on the sideboard. They weren't officially listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, but they were able to trade them. And that was what led to the merger. Gee, that's a long time ago.
The new stock exchange was built on the site of the old one at 234 Bay.
This cornerstone of the Toronto Stock Exchange as well and truly laid.
The new floor, when it came in the 30s, it had, for that time, very sophisticated electronic equipment.
Traders would do the tickets on the floor, and they would put the ticket inside the tube and down the tube, and it would go into the dungeon. And actually, the dungeon's where they used to change the quotes on the posts, too, from downstairs.
The CAT system was felt as an intrusion on the trading floor. The CAT system gave out information that had never been given out about what was going on the trading floor. One of the lead mafia men in the United States, this fellow named Joe Valachi, was testifying before all the committees, and a lot of traders on the trading floor called the machines the Joe Valachi machines because they sang and they told everything.
Things were different in those days. Things were different.
There was a whole generation of us that grew up being told that 1929 could never happen again. In 1929, the stock market dropped 23% in 2 days, whereas in 1987, it dropped 23% in 1 day.
I mean, it took me less than half an hour to lose my voice because the yelling you just had to yell louder and louder to the point where after a while I couldn't even be heard.
I'm surprised people didn't have heart attacks.
Playing tricks on each other was really a great way to reduce stress.
When the opening siren went, somebody didn't tell this young kid what's going on. When he asked somebody, what was that? And somebody said it was a fire alarm, and he ran outside the building.
Somebody would be reading the paper like this, sitting on, nothing doing, and somebody come up and light a lighter, and, next thing you know, the paper's up in flames, and stuff like that.
So we used to have a thing called the 5-3s on Friday afternoons, and they count down to 3-3-3. We'd see it on the clock, the digital clock. They'd march around the floor with this torch, and 5-3s would go off, and they'd throw the paper in the air and made a big hoopla.
Everybody's heard the old pigeon story when they closed the exchange, and some guy went next door and got a shotgun and shot all the pigeons that were running around the top of the old building, and they all fell down on the floor.
They joke, they fool around, they work hard, they have their own culture, and yet they're one of the most generous group of people that I've ever met in my life.
There was the phony stocks like Underground Airways, Mars Explorations. We've had pie throwing.
Most of it was just done to see how you would react.
A lot of guys went home crying.
The floor was extremely competitive, and it's difficult to be competitive and be friendly and courteous to everybody when you're fighting to buy and sell stock.
Reputation on the floor was very important, especially due to the fact that you had close personal contact with people every single day.
I recall one time where these two traders, that their noses were touching each other as they were yelling and screaming and swearing at each other, but you never held grudges, and if you lost a particular battle or something, you went on to the next one.
Offbeat.
Person who throws himself, herself totally into the job.
An outgoing person.
Crazy.
A strong backbone.
Irrational.
Having a mouth that's loud.
Go to you, 100,000 steel.
We've always been considered misfits.
And having the desire and the urge to do the very best job you can in getting the best price that you can for the clients that you're serving.
You didn't have to be good looking.
There is the illusion, right or wrong, that this is a job that is almost impossible to do for someone that doesn't do it. They look at it and say, how can you do that? That's crazy. That's nuts.
Floor trading is a culture unto itself.
You had a cross-section of humanity.
An interesting thing I found about the trading floor is there was no bosses. Everybody was the same.
We were like a family down here. You know, it took a certain type of person, I think, to actually fit into this environment.
I guess the fact that you didn't think that you could go 11 years with somebody and have such a great time.
People will always know, even years, their grandparents will be telling them about stories about the old floor and how trading took place to begin with, how the real trading took place.
I've called it work all these years, you know. And I think that with a lot of people on the floor, it wasn't work, it was a way of life. It was wonderful.
Join with us in remembering our history and in celebrating our future. Let's go to play forever, boys!
To those that I traded with and against, I enjoyed the association very, very much, and I'll never forget them.